On the sign up page, I'll proceed to um, create an account. This time around, I'll be using that name, um, the last name of MediaSFU, and a username. Oh, I'm gonna use this name one. And for email address is going to be that name one sheet at MediaSFU.com. And on the phone number, I'm gonna use 579916822. So now I just need to pick up my password, and I am going to make sure you have a strong combination of numeric and then special characters. And I'll just hit the sign up key from, from here. Okay, so um, if you were to sign up using any of the social login sign up approaches, whether Google or GitHub, you probably want to meet the screen to verify your email. But then for email, you're gonna have this interface from which you just have to click the option to get the verification code, and you should have an email sent to your account with an expiry of this code. So I'll just grab that code and then verify my account right away. So I have this as 729081. Okay, so upon signing, logging in directly to your dashboard, on a higher level, you are welcome with an overview, profile, rooms, balance, and a couple of tabs of particular interest is one. Your overview, it kind of gives you a high summary. I'll just try to be very brief on the tabs in here and just focus on what you absolutely need. One very point, the key point of interest is that if you have a couple of minutes assigned to you, so without even making any minutes purchase or any payment info, you can just get started to work with your sandbox at this stage as recommended. So we'll focus on a couple of key areas. One will be your API keys section. The next one is going to be your event settings part. And the very last two ones will be on your AI credentials, or how we orchestrate your calls, so these models, your speech to text, LLM, and then your text to speech. And finally, your SIP configuration, how MediaSFU talks to your SIP banking number provider. So what I want to do, let's just take a look at uh, what you have. And also on your profile, if you would ever want to have um, MediaSFU's call center solution or enterprise level telephony solution, in which you get your number, you configure this, and then go to telephony.mediasfu.com, from which you can handle your incoming calls, make an outbound call, and efficiently control your sub users, call handlers in an optimal way. You probably want to turn on this telephony support to show. And in that case, you're going to have your call logs also logged in the dashboard. So the very first key thing we need to do is to enable SIP support. And this is highly encouraged for the cases of a telephony system creating your room. Think of someone calling your line and then your rooms are auto created for you without you having to initiate that request. So uh, MediaSFU would want to know if you want that to happen and you would like to change at least this support SIP. Aside the many other options you change here, your first line of action is in your event settings. Edit the settings and change support SIP through. The other angle is which direction you would want SIP to be supported. Do you want it to be just inbound, outbound, or in both directions? I'm gonna leave this in both directions for now, but then if you know you're just gonna be making only outbound calls, you're calling people without receiving calls, you won't want to change that accordingly. So once I change this to support SIP, I'm gonna do save changes, and I just need to confirm this. And my first task is completed, saving my event settings to have SIP support. Now, the very next thing you would want to take a look at is your API keys. You don't particularly need to do anything here, but then I'm just trying to explain to you what each key does. So there's a demo API key. MediaSFU never expects you to use this. It doesn't. You use this in any other way than internally creating demo rooms for you. So it's kind of pointless or useless in using it in your requests to MediaSFU. The other two options are the sandbox key and the production key. The production key, MediaSFU restricts them to domains that you register. If you look at the domain tab, you can register your domains from which you would want to use your production keys. So your API keys are only restricted for production to the domains you specify. And the last option is a sandbox key, which kind of works from anywhere. It's by default what you would use in MediaSFU sandbox environment, which is our equivalence of Postman. I'll get to that briefly. But you have an option to control this as you wish. For example, you would like to copy this if you want to show your key. You have your key there. If you probably want to edit this at any point in time, if you would want to um, maybe set it as inactive briefly so that it doesn't get used, you can just toggle this. If you want to change the key, you can just regenerate this and you're going to have a new key. And for whatever changes you make, you finally have to hit save changes for it to reflect. I'll just cancel this to end this illustration. So one, you use the sandbox key, unless of course you have a subscription to use a production key. Just stick to sandbox key so far in this demo. Another points of interest that will be particularly of use to people are things like your recording settings, and then your settings. If you probably want to indicate where your recordings go in terms of if you just hit create new factor authentication, um, recordings for notifications, and specifically where your recordings get stored. It's the AWS, Wasabi, DigitalOcean, and the like. So for every single settings option on the dashboard that I haven't touched on or I haven't expanded on, if you go to your docs, there are two endpoints which are technically for one, the developer guide, which is your high-end documentation of making first to MediaSFU via HTTP and the like. Then the other endpoint is your user guide. So user guide is kind of a low code, no code, just guiding you on how to make such changes on your dashboard. So for example, I was just talking about settings. If you happen to go to the settings end and you're not so sure of how to configure your storage, you take a look at, say, your S3 configuration. You have a couple of images, guides in there to show you this, to show you how you can do this. So uh, from your doc side, user guide guides you on almost everything on your dashboard that you want to change or you want to modify. And your developer guide takes you to kind of a technical endpoint on how to mostly communicate with MediaSFU via HTTP and what various parameters mean.